just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome.
Good morning. I'm Sue Fulmer. I've been attending at the Center for Spiritual Living in St. George for 4 years now. I love the people and the philosophy of science of mind and spirit. It is truly my spiritual home. Today, our meditation is going to take us all home. I want you to imagine being away from home. What are your feelings about going home again? As you approach the house, what are your thoughts? Now picture arriving at your front door. Use your key or turn the doorknob and enter. Pause in the entry for a minute and feel your feelings. You could be relaxed, relieved, warm, and welcome, or you could still be carrying the burdens of the day or the feelings of dissatisfaction and discomfort or tension about coming home. Make an intention to come back later and visit these feelings. As you turn to secure the door, say a quick prayer of gratitude and send the best and highest good to the world outside your door. Now take a deep breath and expect rest and peace of mind in your home. Go into the main living area. Pause and look around. Feel your feelings in this room. Is it a warm and welcoming place? What does this room say to you? Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, say or think the word home, like Om. Home. Again, deep breath. Let it out with home. What are the feelings as you are meeting the people in your home, or a pet, or perhaps being by yourself? Now go into the kitchen area. Here you may perceive a nourishing, replenishing area that shows that you are caring for your body. Or there may be feelings of guilt and discomfort. Pause for a moment and think about having enough food, having convenient ways to prepare your food, and store your food. Feel gratitude for this part of your home. Now go towards your bedroom. As you pass the bathroom, feel gratitude for water. Water available for cleansing and taking care of your body's needs. At the doorway of your bedroom, your eyes scan the room. Is this a place of rest and recuperation? Is the bed comfortable, soft, and warm? Lie down on your bed. Take a deep breath and fill this room with the word home. Home. Think about some of the dreams that you've had. If dreaming doesn't feel like you have just visited heaven, ask Spirit to give you restful, happy, constructive dreams. Imagine now a sparkling white light coming in through your windows, your doors, and circling to each corner of each room in your home. This healing white light can heal and clear negative energy from the space if you desire. Now open your eyes, rise from your bed. You're alert and awake. Walk to the place that you are comfortable in your home to watch Sunday service. Come back, take a deep breath, wiggle your toes, and prepare yourself for an uplifting experience. Enjoy the day and enjoy your home. Namaste.
There's something in the air, the dream of life in love, with minds that rest in prayer, sparking joy we're in awe. No matter where your path has been or time will somehow flies, like souls will come home again, true friendship ever thrives. Is this where the magic happens? Can you feel the hearts revealed right now in you and me? The secret is wherever we are. There's something in a smile that can turn a day around. Moments so worthwhile when we find common ground. No matter what the day might bring, right here we can align, knowing that we will be seen as perfect, whole, divine. 'Cause this is where the magic happens. Let's feel all the hearts, close to me and me to you. The secret is wherever we are. So meet me where the magic happens, healing all the hearts, ignited now in you and me. The secret is wherever. The secret is whenever. The secret is together we are.
Good morning, everyone. We're delighted to have you with us here today. My name is Chris McCardle, and I am a practitioner for Centers for Spiritual Living St. George, and I do call it home. Sue, thank you for a lovely meditation. I thought that was really quite interesting. We are an open, loving, inclusive community. We support thinking creatively and living in a deeply spiritual life. Very true about us. Our values are love, freedom, participation, enthusiasm, acceptance, contribution, cooperation, and a big old chunk of humor. And today's service is brought to you by our tech this morning. Behind the scenes is our lovely Marina Anderson. That meditation, which I just thought was really cool, was by our very own Sue Fulmer, and she will also be doing the reading in a few minutes. Our music, which will be coming soon, is by the famous Alan Stanley of St. George. Our invocation, which will open up service, is by my fellow practitioner, Bill Smith. Myself, I'm hosting, and our message is by our Reverend Joe Kovach. So stay tuned. It's all happening right here, right now. Oh, dog just banged a little. Oh, there's Surely the Presence. I love this song. Actually, that was a song that every time they play that in a center, when you look around and you feel the presence, it's so cool. I'm glad you're playing it, Alan. Thank you. Take it away.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, it's pretty relaxing. So I would invite you all to just take a deep breath and lean back and recognize this presence and sing along or hum along, whichever you'd like to do. Surely the presence of spirits in this place, I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of spirits in this place. Surely the presence of joy is in this place. I can feel its mighty power and its grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of joy is in this place. Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place.
Good morning, Center for Spiritual Living, St. George. My name is Bill Smith, and I'll be opening this session with prayer. I invite you to join me. As we come together this morning, I feel the presence in this place, the presence of the one Spirit that leads us and drives us, is the source of all love and compassion and knowledge, and is home. I know that as I feel this, I know that it is present, and I know that it is present for all of us. We're all one. I know as we begin our study and our examination of the term home, I know that has a certain and different connotation for all and for everyone. And as we all have that presence and that awareness of the God within us, we also have that ability to create, that ability to use our thoughts to create. And as we create the home that we desire, we are able to move into that home with our hearts and our spirit. I know that today's service is a blessing and that all that participate are blessed. I just let it go and let it be so. And so it is.
So it is. Surely the presence of spirits in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of spirits in this place. Surely the presence of joy is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of joy is in this place. Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place. Now I'd like to invite Sue to read a little bit.
Thanks, Alan. Oh, that's beautiful. That's one of my favorites. Well, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. I've heard Dorothy's words from The Wizard of Oz spoken often, and the phrase usually brings quite a chuckle. I'll bet a similar phrase is on every newborn's mind as they come into this life. Not just because they've left the cozy, warm, snuggly womb of their mother, but perhaps they are aware that who they really are has just left their true home in the presence of the divine. I grew up hearing that babies come down from heaven, and my previous religious training called it pre-existence. I have enjoyed hearing stories also and reading accounts of near-death experiences where the temporarily deceased have experienced going to a heavenly place and perhaps taken part in a life review, including pre-life planning. I personally strongly believe in a pre-life where my spirit was in a heavenly home and to which my spirit will return. But for now, I'm wanting my heaven to be right here. A thought from Ernest Holmes in Science of Mind. If we abide in the divine and it abides in us, in harmony, in power, in peace, in wisdom, and our thought is friendly, happy, confident, and open, our kingdom of heaven is a good place in which to live. Our philosophy and science of mind is that heaven is a state of mind. And if you take home with you that state of mind, that heaven is a state, If you take home with you that state of mind of harmony, peace, and wisdom with friendly, happy, confident thoughts, you will say with Dorothy, there's no place like home. Thank you.
There's no place like home. Thank you, Sue. So this song, David Alt singing a little about returning home, I think. These shoes I've worn thin, and the dust that covers them gives a clue to where I've been. But now I've returned to a hope that nurtures me and love that's remedy all the lies and doubts and the shame that seemed unending. Now I'm awakening. I stand and sing. I return to the source of my creation, opening to my place of transformation. Now I see love lives in me. I return to the glory of our oneness, flourishing, fearless, free, and fully conscious, mightily. I stand and sing, I have returned. Day after day, there are many paths to choose. Some we win and some we lose. Still all lead to one, where the hearts that tarry there believe in love beyond compare. Finally I trust your embrace and give thanks for the journey home. Yes, I'm awakening. I stand and sing. I return to the source of my creation, opening to my place of transformation. Now I see love lives in me. I return to the glory of our oneness, flourishing, fearless, free, and fully conscious, mightily. I stand and sing. I have returned.
Wow. That was pretty amazing, Alan.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much for that song. It's kind of interesting. Reverend Dr. David Alt is actually on another pilgrimage. He was on one in the past. He's always serving our world in one way or another. He did this long walk. The Camino something, I can't remember the details, unfortunately, but it was this beautiful walk, and it was to help children. And now he's on a pilgrimage to India. He's actually there right now. So in many ways, he comes home often in different levels of home.
He's quite inspiring.
He's an amazing man. Thanks. Well, it's a lot of me right now. Oh, there we go. Hello. Okay, so our global theme is living everyday wonder, which I do basically every day of my life. I'm just so fascinated by everything that goes on, and as an observer. And home is definitely the topic of November, and it's a very, very powerful word, because it truly is exactly where you are. And I'm blessed to be home and be here with you all today. On our talk is There Is No Place Like Home. So I'm excited to hear what Reverend Joe is going to deliver today in his talk. Reverend Joe, how are you, good sir?
I'm feeling what's that, like balanced and harmony, you know, like you have that energy, but you're so calm inside.
Yeah, I love that.
How we feel like when we're at home.
I love that picture in your window. It's lovely.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Take it away, Joe.
I love you, man. Thank you. So a little humor from setting up this morning. So good morning, my beloved community. And it is already, can you believe it? It's already November. Just like that. Boom, boom, boom. And I work in the school system here in Las Vegas, and I've been doing this for 24 years or so. And it always amazes me, you know, when you're on that particular calendar in our lives, of how fast it goes. You blink and the holiday season is among us. And I love today's topic. I have to be honest with you. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. We're going to get into it. But before we do that, I want to make sure, I want to mention that, we're talking about this idea of coming home. And I definitely, and many of you call CSL St. George your spiritual home. And we are in the process of kind of remodeling that divine image of what our spiritual home looks like. And this past week, all the members, if you're signed up for our newsletter, all the people, I should say members, but everyone signed up for our newsletter, was sent the newsletter that is asking for your participation and your thoughts with regards to values. We're kind of looking at restructuring. We are looking at restructuring and recreating. And so that we can be vibrating at the highest and best for St. George and our personal spiritual community. So if you haven't done so already, please take a look at that. It's just a simple Google Doc, and we ask you to mark the values that kind of feel like home to you. So if you haven't already done so, please do that. So the word home, when I think of it, having a psychological background and a spiritual background, I think of this idea of what we would call an archetype, and we're going to get into that. But an archetype is kind of like the different deep roles that we play on a personal and spiritual level. And when I think of the word home, two phrases come to me. One is home sweet home, right? And wherever we find ourselves, technically we could feel that way. But when we have our own brick and mortar structure, or maybe even home, is, you say that when we go back, if you're an adult, you go back to the home you grew up in. But it's home sweet home. Everything feels good and safe there. And then, of course, the other saying is home is where the heart is. So we're talking about different ideas of looking at that word. Even in the Bible, it talks about the idea of home and heart together. Metaphorically, home is the place that we look at as holy, as part of the whole, and holy as in sacred, which is something that's known and familiar, that we feel. It's a feeling. And we don't only feel safe, but we have the sense of feeling free to be our authentic selves when we're at home, because we feel accepted, right? We feel we belong. And this is also, speaking about, I say this, meaning the heart is the place on a spiritual journey where we both start from and begin. And we're going to talk about that today. But as we move into this month of Everyday Wonder Home, we're going to look throughout this whole month at this idea of home metaphysically, define it, spiritually define it, and look at it again as today more of this archetypal type of archetype. That's the word I'm looking for. So let's begin. I'm going to mention a word a couple times here. The word is monomyth. Mono as in one, myth. And I'm going to get into that. But this idea of this great monomyth, think of it as a spiritual journey, that there's just one monomyth that we're all following. And that gets me excited. That we're all on this spiritual journey, coming from different aspects of the divine and looking at it almost as if you're looking at it as a sphere. Not that there's any real borders of this sphere that we call spirit, but we are looking at ourselves from every possible angle to get to know and love ourselves from those different angles. And so, being of CSL, Centers for Spiritual Living and Science of Mind and Spirit, let's start off with what Ernest Holmes says about this idea. There we go. He says, the Spirit of God is an undivided and indivisible wholeness. It fills all time with its presence and all space with the activity of its thought. There's only thought. Everyone is an incarnation of God and a unique incarnation. All are rooted in one life. Your endeavor then, he says, is not so much to find God as it is to realize God's presence and to understand that this presence is always with you. Say that last part again, that God's presence is always with you. Nothing can be nearer to you than that which is the very essence of your being. Your outward search culminates in the greatest of all possible discoveries, finding God at the center of your own being. Life flows up from within you. It's a lot of words, but man, it just in essence, if I ended and only talked about this slide, whew, and we're going to reevaluate it at the end. I'm going to say it again one more time to see if it has maybe a different feel, particularly in our heart. So this great monomyth that I mentioned is something also that we refer to as the hero's journey. Created by those terms by Joseph Campbell. And this hero's journey, and I'm going to say hero / heroine, represents, again, what Ernest Holmes was talking about, this outward search to find the truth and the presence that lies at the center of who we are, the center of our beingness. And recognizing God's presence is the goal. Not I want to say goal. That's not. I don't want to say that. It is I'm saying is the treasure. It's not a goal because it's already here, but it's that massive discovery, the treasure. Oh, there it is. You know, and speaking about myths, right? So going back, so when I talk about the hero's journey, it talks about, in essence, in simplest terms, this idea of all these different aspects of who we are. And as with regards to a myth, we sometimes think about it as like something commonly believed, I guess, but it's not true. It has maybe a little speckle of truth. But to Joseph Campbell and Carl Jung, who Joseph Campbell took a lot of his ideas from. Carl Jung was a psychologist. Myths represent our collective human psyche, so our mind, and it illuminates universal principles and truths that apply to the entirety of the human family. And so when we're talking about universal, I want to remind everybody that means it's the same for everyone, no matter where you're at, no matter what language you speak, no matter what religion you follow. There's this pathway that we're going to talk about. And his concept of this monomyth, again, this hero-heroine journey, refers to the theory that sees all mythic narratives as variations of one story. One great story is what he says. And the theory is based on this observation that a common pattern exists beneath our stories. No matter, again, where we come from, our origin, or what time we lived in, it circumstances all of that. Sue mentioned The Wizard of Oz. That would be one example of this type of a story. And we're going to get picking the pieces in a moment here. Some other storylines that we may know would be like Harry Potter, Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. They all reflect this idea of this monomyth, this one story that's beneath everything going on. Now, if we look spiritually, we can look at the storyline of Jesus or Buddha or even Moses. You could follow the steps as we go through. So again, it represents this process of psychological and spiritual transformation. We start off in this kind of innocence / ignorance. Again, that's not stupidity, but we just don't know what we don't know. And then we go on this journey and end in what's called self-actualization, meaning we end up being more than we thought we could be, and we see ourselves in a transformed, evolved way. And I want to make sure everybody understands, everyone is on this journey. Everyone has the potential and the capacity to be the hero, heroine of their life journey. It's kind of what we're doing. And this is what Joseph Campbell put down in theory. And according to him, specifically, Campbell says, quote, "A hero is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than one's self." Let me say that again. A hero or heroine is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than themselves. Okay, now, so that leaves a whole lot, right? It sounds almost vague, but that's because, as we heard Ernest Holmes say, everyone is unique. That means we have a unique journey to follow and or not to follow. In the end, that's our gift, is free will. And so, interesting enough, as we talked about, the hero's journey will begin and end at home, within ourselves. And this idea of home being, again, we start off with this shelter, with this safe place. And at the same time, while we're feeling safe and sheltered early on, that also it ends up, when we look at it from a different way, of kind of almost like the bars of our prison cell holding us back from feeling a greater sense of oneness, of wholeness, of freedom. And so metaphorically, those walls or those bars that protect us as individuals kind of keep that hero in the making in a sheltered state. Excuse me. Eventually, for most people, because I don't know if everybody gets there, I'll be honest with you. Some of us may just get stuck at a certain step, and that's not failure. That could be massive growth just to get from what I'll call step 1 to step 2. Or it's really the hero's journey, as we see, is broken into 3 main areas. So maybe it's just in this life you got to the next level, so to speak. And we get there because there's a desire that builds within us that we almost can't ignore. And when we get to a certain place, life is going to show up. So let's talk about specifically how it shows up with regards to this hero's journey. It happens. I did slide. Okay, so it happens in 3 distinct phases. If you can make that bigger for me, please. Thank you. So this first section is departure or separation, and I'm going to get into the different steps within it. And then as we move through this, so this is where we start kind of at home, and we're happy, and we're feeling like, hey, this is what it is. Whether I'm happy or not, I'm not sure. Again, we're kind of living in this ignorance and comfort, which is not bad, but we don't know. And then we're called to adventure. And so notice that there's right here, this is what we're familiar with, because we're at home. We're starting at home. And then we're called and we move into this whole unfamiliar world when we're becoming. I love that word, becoming. When I was just learning to be a counselor, one of my greatest teachers, Ms. Sanborn, said to me, I was taking a class specifically on middle school counseling, and she wrote the sentence, "A child is becoming an adult," and she underlined and circled a child, and she said, "That's elementary school children." And then she circled an adult, and she said, "That's more of the high school and college children." And middle, she said, is the words "is becoming." That's where we start, in a sense, transforming. So it's very unfamiliar. And as we're called, no matter what age we're called out of our comfort, we go on this journey. We have trials and tribulations, and then we, in a sense, reach the goal of our quest, so to speak, and then we come back home. So let's take a look at that in a different, deeper way. Slide 4. Yes. So Eric Butterworth talks about this idea, and he says, before you formulate a desire in your mind, it is God in you desiring. Before you have an urge, there is a moving of spirit in you, prompting you in that direction. And I wanted to include this quote because I want to recognize that, going back to the first slide, we call it separation, but we recognize here in spirit, we're never separated. We're always part of the whole. But this journey kind of tends to make us feel unseparated. And he reminds us that we never are. That the desires that we have are what we call God's desires. And God is not something different than we are. That is one of the biggest things to transform our mind over. I hear a lot of people say, well, whatever God's will is. Well, if there is no separation between God and myself, then there's only this higher point of my own consciousness. And we call that God consciousness. But it and I, as Jesus said so eloquently, right? The Father and I are one. You could say the Mother and I are one, however you want to say it. There's only one life, one mind happening. And so we got to, if we're going to start from home, this is the home place to start. That it's only one thing, and we're looking at ourselves, this journey, from different aspects. So step 1 is within this departure is we're called to adventure. Luke Skywalker, I like to use that example because it's widely used, is, he's at home on his planet, and he's, helping, he lives with his uncle and his aunt, and he's just helping them out. And all of a sudden he has a call. And he doesn't want it. He doesn't like it. It doesn't happen in a great way, but he is called to be different. Now, step 2 within this departure is the opportunity to refuse the call. And often at first, we do refuse it. We deny it. It says the hero hesitates to accept the invitation either because the journey is too dangerous or because they have other obligations at home. In other words, we have our small point of view, and hey, we're just happening there, right? And we think we have our own story to follow, but this uproots the story. And Joseph Campbell says we must be willing to let go of the life we planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us. So we're walking one way. We think this is the best way. It's usually best in the moment because it's comfortable. We feel safe. And to go outside of that, we have to let go of our safety. That's a big deal. And again, I'm going to crunch this down because this is literally the talking about the hero's journey is the work of courses. But I want to give you a taste of it because it's such an amazing thing to just have. So many people don't understand that this is like we're spiritual beings having a human existence or a human journey. And this is what we're doing. And to kind of look at the different patterns or steps of where we are is important. So the next step, step 3, is called supernatural aid, meaning like the hero needs some kind of something outside of him or herself that inspires them to say yes and accept this call and adventure, even if they're not sure of, like, I don't have the right tools. Like, there's massive questioning, massive doubt, yet there's something pulling us forward. And so he calls that supernatural aid. And then when we say yes, we cross this invisible threshold, right? That we begin this quest, this something new that we're on. And you don't know how it's going to turn out. You're not sure at all. And what happens first is you meet what they call the belly of the whale, which is the next step, meaning we, the hero or heroine, encounter our first real danger on our quest. And we wonder, maybe I just go back to my old home. Now, often in stories and movies, for example, Luke Skywalker, his old home was pretty much destroyed, his physical dwelling, and his family, the only family he had there, was killed. So there really, in that situation, wasn't a home. But within us, the idea of safety and comfort all of a sudden changes once we say yes. And the idea of going back, it's not going to be the same because I know this new thing is calling me. So I can't go back to the same home mentally because I'm already changed. I'm already changed. And so this idea of this first step of departure is we begin seeking our truth outside of ourselves, to an awareness that is outside of ourselves, meaning we're not coming from the heart, okay, but we're looking in our senses, sensatory world, right? We're looking, we're seeing, we're feeling, we're tasting, we're touching. And so that is the first part of the journey, this departure and separation. We're living comfortably, we get a call, eventually we say yes, we come across this first quest, and it's a lot of denial. There are a lot of denial that I'm on this quest, a lot of questioning of ourselves, and it's difficult. It is absolutely difficult, if not terrifying. Now we move into the next phase, which is called the initiation phase. And this is where we begin to develop strength and character through these trials that life has put in front of us. They're trials, we can call them tests, we can call them tribulations. And along the way, we are given assistance to get through these trials, to pass the tests, so to speak. And so the first step within this second stage is called the road of trials. Okay, so it could be, generally, it's not just one test or challenge, it's multiple. And with each one, we learn something new about ourselves as heroes. And that gives us a new purview of life, of ourselves, of what God is, what's happening in our own life. And then we continue to but we often will meet other heroes within that will help us through these things. We may not know who they are, but people that step up at the right divine place, at the right divine time, and offer us the wisdom, the guidance, prosperity, whatever is needed to get over this next hurdle. Moving on, in the middle phase is called atonement with the Father. So at this stage, remember, we're initiation, we're in the middle of going through all these challenges and trials. There's a personal metamorphosis that's going on. And within this, we confront this character back then, this idea of father is the father figure, which is the patriarch of our life, the one that's making the decisions and so forth. Accept it as it is. And so I'm not trying to make a statement on male or female here, just this is what the name of the step is. And so it's that part within us that we have to look. So within Star Wars, Luke goes inside that dark cave and confronts and is given a piece of information where he sees himself as behind the mask of Darth Vader and so forth. And so often, basically, we're in this place of looking at our own fears. We're looking at our greatest fears and being given the assistance to overcome them, to look at what it is, right? In order to get through a fear, okay, we come from fear or love. That vibration is very far apart. And so we do need assistance. Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith, from our own philosophy and founder of Agape, he says, pain pushes until the vision pulls. Pain will push us until we get the idea of either the next step, or sometimes it's simply the end product. Like, I'm going to achieve this, whatever this is. Maybe it's going back to school and getting a degree that you quit on, or getting a promotion that for the longest time you said you weren't good enough. And sometimes it may just be a complete uprooting of you had this desire for whatever reason within you to move to a different country and open a coffee shop. Whatever. But I'm safe, I'm comfortable here, and I don't know the steps. So because I don't know the steps, I just won't go. And these are the stories we tell ourselves until we answer. And that desire, but as Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith says, there's that vision that pulls us through, and a transformation happens. And eventually, as we go through enough, we become the hero or heroine of our own story. That we reach a level of consciousness that we look back and we go, wow, I wouldn't have wanted to sign up for this, but look at who I've become. Look at what I've become. Look at where I am now today. I could not have imagined this, whether this journey, because we go on many of them. Some of them are short and some of them are lifelong. Holmes says this. He says, that's not what he said. I skipped that one. I forgot to add that in here. So once we achieve it, Campbell says that you are the hero of your own story, right? We can't be truly the hero of somebody else's. We can help someone along the way of our own journey, is what he says. Like, we may be that mythical figure that just shows up at the right place to help other people. And I'm not going to say may. We do this all the time because all of these journeys are one. That's the kind of crazy part to grasp, that we're all on this, and I really can't see or recognize your true journey. I can only see your journey from my journey. But we're all one, and we're all the heroes, if we choose, of our own journey. Now, Holmes says this. He says, nothing can be nearer to you than that which is the very essence of your being. Your outward search culminates in the greatest of all possible discoveries, finding God at the center of your own being. So this is that part again. We start and we go through what we feel and this craziness of life and circumstances and events, and then we come back home. So, but it's not over then. We see this is like, we think it's over because we've reached this, I've gotten to this place. But within this part, I'm going to go back really quick to the picture. There's this third part. So this is part one, the call. This is part two, all of our trials and tribulations and changes and evolutions and transformations. But then we're here and we're not the same person. So we return from what's unfamiliar to the familiar world. So now what do we do with the new us? Well, we return, and the idea is to return home. So let me get back to where I was. Okay. So stage 3 is called the return. And at first, we're reluctant to go back to our familiar world, right? We feel alive and we look at it as lesser, but yet there's a call home. Often in movies, they'll go back to the air territory. It's not always the exact physical dwelling, but we return home. And home is also the idea of being here on earth. We go through this challenge and nobody can truly feel what we're going through. And we feel like almost otherworldly while we're going through this. It's like a story within a story. I had my life, I'm now changing, but I'm still here. And this is difficult, right? We still have our job to maintain, our relationships to maintain while we're going through our personal transformation. But in the end, we go back to what is home and we bring our transformed self. And then we cross the second threshold back to the familiar world. And we try to, the rest of the time, readjust to the world. And in the end, one of the last stages is called Master of Two Worlds. And he says the hero finds a balance between their home life and the person they became on their quest. And it's about, recalibrating. I think of in this moment veterans who go off to a foreign land and fight this crazy war. And that's, in a sense, it's like a quest. And then they have to come home and they're not the same. Same person or being when they left. They're different and they come home and now the work is to recalibrate back into their home life. And eventually, as this cycle ends, that the hero gets used to their normal life and lives peacefully, as they say, happily ever after. So, that's a lot, right? And we're doing this. We're in this right now. We're doing this right now. And this, as we become the heroes of our lives, our own lives, we gain new insights. We gain new understandings. We recognize how we're transformed. And depending on your age, if you're a teenager, can you look back 5 years and see how that you've changed? And most of the change that has happened has been through uncomfortableness. Maybe you're in your middle age years. Maybe you're in your later stage years, whatever. But you can look back and kind of the gift of growing old is to be able to look at the different journeys we've been on and to recognize that and share that back with our community. So the hero in the end comes into this idea of like full spiritual maturity because they rise above him or herself to do the work of the higher self, which is that part of us that sees everything going on while we're in this very finite physical world. At the end of the Wizard of Oz, the good witch Glinda, I think her name is, tells Dorothy that, you've always had the power to return home. And I think that's important because while this journey is happening, I want to help make the point that it's always within us. It's our personal journey. And we're never truly so far outside of ourselves that we're disconnected from our truth. Right? We have all that we need, and we're going on this because there's a pull. All right. So I want to go back to this first quote that I shared in the beginning. Let's make it big, please. And right, we've already, even within this talk for the last 30 minutes, we've been on a journey. And I'm hoping that you receive this in a different way. So the Spirit of God is an undivided and indivisible wholeness. It fills all time with its presence and all space with the activity of its thought. Everyone is an incarnation of God and a unique incarnation. Incarnation, fancy word for presence right here in physical form. All are rooted in the one life. Your endeavor then is not so much to find God as it is to realize God's presence and to understand that this presence is always with you. Nothing can be nearer to you than that which is the very essence of your being. Your outward search culminates in the greatest of all possible discoveries, finding God at the center of your own being. Life flows up and out from within you. So I want to have one more slide for you, which is this. Let's ask ourselves, and I'm asking you, where are you at in your journey? Okay, here's a different picture of this process. There's the call. Okay, this is about trials and transformation. Some say you go through a death and a rebirth, that you're reborn through these. And we're not talking physically, we're talking mentally, we're talking consciously, right? That there's a death of an old self. The old self that is holding you back in order to move forward, that has to die in a sense, meaning you shift your power from believing in lack and limitation, okay, to abundance and prosperity, and believing in that divine power and presence that is you. So are you in right now? Maybe you're just starting it. You're starting a brand new journey. Or maybe you're still waiting to receive because you've already come back home in one way and you're waiting for the next. And when I say waiting, meaning you're living your life. Okay. You're doing what you do. And sooner or later, this inner desire will call you. And then, or maybe you're finding yourself right now, you're in the middle of it, the capital I, right? Meaning you're in the middle of trials and tribulations. You're looking at and transforming your enemies into loving relationships. Or maybe you're in this process of you just slayed your dragon and you're coming back and you're working on this balance and harmony with your new understanding. It's important to know where we're at. We have to be easy on ourselves. Okay, we're never going to get out of the call if all we do is sit and beat ourselves up over and over and over again. And there's a part of us that's, oh, come on, get through this. And then there's a part pulling us back because we want to stay safe because of this unknown. So where are you? Where do you find yourself right now? And wherever it is, please recognize that this presence of spirit is within you. And if I believe it's Emerson had the phrase, and I love it. He says, we have to get our bloated nothingness out of the way. And that means our smallness. Push it aside, right? The divine is flowing to us, ladies and gentlemen, in this massive hose. I look at it as a hose, as a conduit, but we kink it with our disbelief. We say it's not there, and we're afraid to take a step before it shows up. But that's what we call faith, is believing in this vision that we hold in our mind, that this vision that we are worthy to hold this vision, that this vision and that which I call God or the divine or spirit or source, it's the same vision. I'm just I am source, looking through the eyes of Joe, experiencing reality from this aspect. That's pretty cool when you look at it that way. And in essence, nothing can truly happen to our divine nature, right? This body is going to change because it's physical. It changes just as I get older. It changes with experience. But that which animates the body, the life force, never changes. It never changes. And so I think we're ready for our affirmation. I changed it around from what I had before. And so again, this power of affirmation, as we practiced all last month about recognizing our good and more good is mine. We want to begin our journey always from our centered place of wholeness, okay, and holiness. So the energy behind the words is important. And it's our affirmation is, no matter where I am in my life's journey, I am the presence and power of spirit. Say it differently. No matter where I am in my life's journey, I am the presence and power of spirit. And I wanted to make sure that for myself too, remind ourselves that we are that power. We are that presence. It's not out there. There's no question of worthiness. You are worthy. I am worthy. And the last example, I'm going to answer that question of where I am in my journey. Well, I know one journey where I am is it's still, I'm in the initiation phase, and that's the journey of getting to St. George so that I may lead physically more often and more fully be your spiritual leader for CSL St. George. And I am going through trials and tribulations. And there's, at first I was called When I was called, it was even before I knew this job was available. There was like a lot of questions. I was called to ministry, but I didn't trust in the process. I had to go through many trials before this even became an opportunity. And now, if all I look at is the facts, then I probably would have quit already, because there's a lot of moving parts. But I trust that power and presence that I am, that there's a vision and that's pulling, and that everything will be provided in the right divine time, in the right perfect way. Okay. And anytime my mind slips to, oh, but look at the price of mortgages, you can't afford that right now, or what if there's not the right house that you want, or where's all these questions is part of my trial, my journey right now. And what I get up every day and try to do, I'll be honest with you, to my best of my ability, is to allow that vision to pull me, right? If I stay stuck in that pain, I stay stuck, period. And that just causes more pain. So I open myself up and I say yes. So let's go into prayer. Wherever you're at, however you feel comfortable, please go ahead and be that way. I'm going to close my eyes as I pray and remind us that there's only one life happening right here. And so I'm going to speak in this first person for everyone, because everyone is of and as the one right here and right now. And I say yes to the call that I am receiving. I say yes to recognizing that I never truly leave home, but the joy of the journey. If I truly understood that I could have this experience and never truly be hurt, never truly. I may feel that, but all the pain I feel, all the trials and tribulations of this world, all bring me back to the absolute wholeness, stillness, peace, and serenity of that which I truly am. I learn from those moments. I don't discard them. And from my transformed place, I bless them. Maybe I'm in the place right now where I'm having trouble blessing certain things. So I go deeper. I go deeper where that perfect, loving presence is. And I let all the walls just melt away that keep me from loving fully, loving myself, loving another. And truly, there is no another. It's just another aspect of myself as the source of all. And so I welcome this day. No matter where I'm at on this journey, it is a blessed and holy journey. And I know that I am provided for in every way possible. For why would the divine withhold itself from its own creation? It would not. And so I stay open. I know that this journey that Center for Spiritual Living St. George is on as a spiritual community, it has everything it needs to overcome every obstacle, that there is a divine vision in the mind of God that is pulling this leadership, pulling this community to being the best ever yet. And I feel this divine pull. I feel as if I'm at my spiritual home in St. George before I'm even there, before it's even created. So therefore, I know it is true. I know it is real. And I just stay open, blessing everything along the way. This is definitely a blessed life. Please join me in saying and affirming by saying, and so it is.
Whew. Thank you, Reverend Joe.
My pleasure.
There. That talk, I love the works of Joseph Campbell. I love the hero's journey. It's so relatable in so many areas of my 62-year life. Asking where I am right now, the universe said, I don't know. You might have to check in on this one because I'm not quite sure.
Anybody, I want to share real quick. If anybody wants to look into this idea, there's a couple different books, but The Power of Myth by Joseph Campbell is phenomenal. It's a deep book, but I've read it 3 times and get stuff every time. So
yeah, all of Joseph Campbell stuff is. I quote him oftentimes by saying, "What is this quote?" You must be willing to give up the life you planned to have the life that's waiting for you.
Right.
And that is so relevant in so much of my life. My life did not ever show up the way I planned it to show up, but it always has showed up amazing. So cool, Joe. I look forward to our Zoom to go into depth.
Let's discuss this afterwards.
Lots of little nuggets are in my brain. I love talks like that where I think about it all week. So thank you. All right, everybody. Now it's time for our announcements. So we do have our in-person gathering coming up next Saturday. It's November 12th. It is going to be from 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. at the Pioneer Park Gazebo. This is my favorite place, but be sure to dress well. We will have a fire. We're going to be doing, I believe, bring a nice warm chili, but do know that we will have a fire to stand around. It's a lovely, lovely place. Our book club has been postponed until January, letting the holidays move through and getting that back then. Our community care circle is always present, and it is always waiting for anyone in our community who needs the support of a spiritual center and its members. And its practitioners are always there available to you for prayer work. You don't have to be in crises, or it can be just it can be for just having a nice week. But we are here to offer prayer assistance. Go ahead and give us a prayer at CSL or CSLSGeorge.org, and we will get back with you. And once again, our service concludes at this point, but we do pick up with a Zoom meeting. You can find it at www.CSLSG. Super clear. You just click on the access meetings link, then you click on the Zoom meeting, and your computer will do all. So the Science of Mind magazine, I've got mine. It's over here. I should have had it in my hand. An amazing book. It's one of those books that you can pick up and just start reading. Lots of really cool spiritual teachers do articles. Eugene Holden has been there. I think there's a couple of the speakers that we've had at CSL St. George have actually shown up and written articles or something in there. So go ahead and subscribe to that. January is a special price. It's only $2.50 per issue. You go to scienceofmind.com, subscribe. I promise you will thank me later. And this is our page for our tithes and offerings. We can't do this without you. It's my spiritual home, and it is where I am spiritually fed 95% of the time. So it is a place where I prefer to do my giving. Every little bit helps. We are looking forward to building a new big center. Not building. Boy, I'm going to start rumors. To finding or locating a really cool center for us to actually start meeting in person and have Reverend Joe and his family here to do our regular Sunday talks in person. So next Sunday is going to be Reverend Joe again. It's going to be Roots and Wings. And on November 20th, he will be speaking once more. Well, he's going to be speaking a lot more, but that talk title is Home, H-O-M-E. Look forward to all of those. It's time for our closing affirmation. And Marina brings everybody in. And we're running a little late, so everything's going so fast, including by talking. So go ahead. Let's start this thing going.
All righty. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all that I do.
I am it. I embrace it, and I share it.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way that it is becoming.
Thank
you.
Right. Beautiful. Great service, everybody.
Don't forget to check the newsletter. Send out that Google form for your values.
Cool talk. So come and join us for more cool talking at the Zoom. Bye.